Have you ever wondered what happens inside a man's mind when he starts falling deeply in love? Not attraction, not infatuation, not temporary excitement, but genuine emotional attachment. Because contrary to popular belief, men do not always express love through words. In fact, psychology suggests that many men reveal their feelings through behavior long before they openly admit them, and that is why some of the strongest signs of love are often hidden in everyday actions, in small moments, subtle changes, and unconscious behaviors. So if you have ever found yourself wondering whether his feelings are becoming deeper, these 10 psychological signs may reveal more than his words ever could. Sign 1: you become part of his future thinking. One of the earliest psychological shifts that occurs when a man falls deeply in love is that his future begins to include you automatically. He no longer thinks only about himself. He starts thinking about us. Future plans, vacations, career decisions, life goals, your presence naturally appears in his vision of the future. Psychologists refer to this as interdependence, where two people begin mentally connecting their lives together, and it is one of the strongest indicators of emotional commitment. Sign 2: he pays attention to small details. Have you ever casually mentioned your favorite snack, a childhood memory, or something you wanted to do, only for him to remember it weeks later? This is not accidental. Research in cognitive psychology shows that attention follows emotional importance. The people who matter most receive more mental attention, which means their preferences, stories, and emotions are remembered more easily. When a man is falling deeply in love, his brain naturally becomes more attentive to details about you, because you have become emotionally significant. Sign 3: your happiness starts affecting his mood. One of the clearest signs of deep emotional attachment is emotional synchronization. This happens when another person's emotional state begins influencing your own. If you are happy, he feels lighter. If you are upset, he feels concerned. If you are struggling, he genuinely wants to help. Psychologists often associate this with empathy and emotional bonding. Because love creates emotional connection, your feelings stop being separate and start becoming shared. Sign 4: he wants to protect you. When people hear the word protection, they often imagine something dramatic. But psychological protection is usually much quieter. He checks if you got home safely. He notices when something feels wrong. He wants to reduce your stress and make your life easier. Research suggests that attachment often activates caregiving behavior, meaning people naturally become protective toward those they love. Not because they want control, but because they care deeply about their well-being. Sign 5: he becomes more vulnerable. Around you, many men grow up learning to hide emotions, to appear strong, independent, and emotionally controlled, but deep love changes that. When trust increases, defenses decrease. He begins sharing fears, insecurities, dreams, and personal struggles, because vulnerability is one of the strongest indicators of emotional intimacy. Psychologists consistently find that genuine emotional openness strengthens relationships, and people rarely become vulnerable with someone they do not trust. Sign 6: he prioritizes you without being asked. One of the most overlooked signs of love is effort. Not dramatic effort, but consistent effort. He makes time, returns calls, checks in, and shows up even when life becomes busy, because people naturally prioritize what matters most. And when someone repeatedly chooses to invest their time and attention, it often reflects emotional importance. Love changes priorities, and priorities shape behavior. Sign 7: he starts mirroring you. This sign is often completely unconscious. Psychologists call it mirroring, the tendency to copy another person's behavior, speech patterns, expressions, or gestures. People naturally mirror those they feel connected to, because the brain is attempting to create social harmony. You may notice him using phrases you often use, adopting similar habits, or matching your energy. And while it may seem insignificant, mirroring is often associated with emotional closeness and attraction sign. 8. He thinks about your needs as feelings deepen. The focus gradually shifts from what he wants to what both of you need. He becomes more considerate, more thoughtful, and more aware of how decisions affect you. This reflects a psychological transition from self-centered thinking toward relationship-centered thinking, where the partnership becomes increasingly important. And this is often a powerful indicator that his feelings are becoming serious. Sign 9. He stays. During difficult times, anyone can stay when life feels easy, but love is often revealed during stress, conflict, disappointment, and uncertainty. Psychological research consistently shows that commitment becomes most visible during hardship, because challenges test emotional investment. A man who is falling deeply in love does not disappear when things become difficult. He remains present, supportive, and engaged because the relationship matters more than temporary discomfort. Sign 10. He continues, choosing you, perhaps the strongest sign of all. Real love is not a single feeling, it is a repeated decision, day after day. Even after excitement fades, even after disagreements occur, even after imperfections become visible, he continues choosing the relationship, because deep love moves beyond attraction and becomes commitment. Psychologists often describe lasting love as a combination of emotional intimacy, trust, and intentional investment. And that investment shows itself through consistent action, not occasional words. Conclusion. Of course, no single sign guarantees that someone is in love. Human behavior is complex, and relationships are rarely simple. But when multiple signs appear together, they often reveal something important. Because love usually announces itself quietly, in attention, in effort, in vulnerability, and in the small choices people make every day. And once you understand these patterns, you begin to notice them everywhere, not in what people say, but in what they consistently do. If you enjoy exploring the psychology of relationships and human behavior, subscribe to Brain Cipher for more insights into what people feel, but do not always say.